Special thanks to LW, Captain Luppy, Vox, Roach Zoch, Jorgen, The Reaver, Kyvor, Mary McDowell, Bryce Bassett, David Mason, Honor Higgins, Trash Gang, Seti, Big Wolf, Matt H. and Stuff, Gym Leader Goldie, and Mahi Nabi.
Adrian did it?
That's what it looks like.
Dude, no way! That woman couldn't do anything like that!
In court today, there will be a mountain of evidence that will implicate you.
A mountain of evidence?
I'm certain there is someone out there trying very hard to pin this whole thing on you.
Please, Mr. Lawyer. Dude, like I said yesterday, I'm refreshing like a spring breeze, alright? I can't let any sort of scandal ruin that.
I understand.
Well, it's almost time. We must get a complete acquittal today.
I know. I can't focus on Maya's situation right now. Or Pearl's, either. No matter what, I have to focus on winning this case by the end of the day.
Indeed. Well, let's get going.
It's him! This is Wright.
Good morning. This is it, Mr. Attorney. The day of the trial.
Maya, she's unharmed, right?
Well, when I checked on her earlier this morning, well, she seemed a bit, how should we say, tired. Don't worry, people don't die that easily. Besides, what you really should be concentrating on is winning today's trial. For myself, you must win today's trial. Which is why I sent you a little present this morning.
Present? What in the world would you want to give me?
You'll figure it out once the trial opens. Even if you don't like my gift, I expect you to graciously accept it and win the day's contest, if you please.
Wait! The kidnapper sent me a present?
Mr. Lawyer Dude? Who was that?
No one. It has nothing to do with you, so forget you heard anything.
Dude, did your nose just get longer?
Court is now in session for the trial of Matt Engarde. Are the prosecution and defense ready?
The defense is ready, Your Honor.
I say, Mr. Wright, what happened to Miss Von Karma?
I don't know, Your Honor. Why are you getting mad at me?
Your Honor!
Please be quiet, Bailiff. Court is in session. If you must tell me something, please keep it brief. Now then, what is it?
Prosecutor Von Karma has... This morning, Miss Von Karma was shot by an unknown gunman!
What?
Shot?
Somehow, I think this is the present that man was talking about. Miss Von Karma is one of the top prosecutors in the country at the moment. If she disappeared, this would be to your advantage.
This is totally insane! Miss Von Karma, is she alright?
I don't have an answer.
She's alive and in stable condition.
Oh, that's good. Whew! You're...
I thought he'd show up.
Your Honor, due to the circumstances, Miss Franziska Von Karma cannot appear in court today. I, Miles Edgeworth, will be taking her place. The prosecution is ready. Naturally. Miss Von Karma was shot in her right shoulder and is currently undergoing surgery. Luckily, I have looked this case over and am familiar with the details. The prosecution seeks to prove the guilt of Mr. Matt Engarde.
The court acknowledges the prosecution.
Right. I finally found the answer I was struggling for on my long journey this past year. By the time this case comes to an end, you too will know the answer. Now then, the prosecution would like to call its first witness. Please bring Detective Gumshoe to the witness stand. Witness, your name and occupation.
My name's Dick Gumshoe, sir. I'm a detective down at the precinct. For now. For now? After this trial is over, I'm supposed to turn in my badge, sir.
Detective Gumshoe.
The prosecution has no need for a depressed witness. Lift your head up and face forward like a proud officer, Detective Dick Gumshoe.
Yes, sir!
Now let's have your testimony. If we want to explore the various facets of this case, we must start with that.
Get ready, Phoenix. This is going to be one very rough fight.
The answer he was struggling for. Interesting. Show me this answer you finally found, Edgeworth.
This murder happened after the Hero of Heroes award ceremony, sir. The victim, Juan Corrida, was found dead in his hotel room. After looking into the cause of death, we believe he was definitely murdered, sir. At first, we thought there was something suspicious about the empty guitar case. However, we later found out that the guitar case had nothing to do with the murder. After the award ceremony ended, the victim was alone in his room? Yes, sir. Both the victim and defendant went alone to their rooms, sir. I see. Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination.
Our first order of business should be to gather more info from his testimony.
But there might be a trap set up for us somewhere.
Maybe. However, setting off traps is a part of a lawyer's job, too.
If you say so.
Of course, we're supposed to escape from them, too, wouldn't you say?
Detective, would you please give us a brief timeline of what happened after the ceremony?
Okay, pal. The ceremony started at 6 p.m. It ended around 8 p.m., and then there was a short break. A special post-ceremony show was supposed to start in the lobby 30 minutes later.
And that's when the victim's body was found, correct?
Which is to say the murder occurred during that 30-minute break period.
The person who discovered the victim's body was Adrian Andrews, correct?
Yeah. Who is this Adrian Andrews you're talking about? She's the defendant, Man on Guard's manager. I wonder if she will grace us with her presence. When the post-ceremony show was about to start, she went to get Mr. On Guard. After visiting his room, she next went to the victim's room to get him for the show, sir. I see. And that's when she found the victim's body.
The cause of death? Wasn't that because Mr. Corrida was stabbed in the chest?
Only a careless amateur would believe something so brainless as that, pal. Take a good hard look at the crime photo. Now, real pro's attention will be drawn here, to this bandana. Banana? His bandana, sir. That's the thing wrapped tightly around his neck, sir. Ah, yes, I see. His banana-scented bandana.
Then what about the knife?
It seems to have been stuck in the victim's chest on purpose after his death. We have a crafty murderer on our hands here.
Why did you think there was something suspicious about the guitar case?
Because it was empty, pal. The Jammin' Ninja doesn't go anywhere without his bright red guitar. And we couldn't find it anywhere at the scene of the crime. Oh, then how about this theory? A fan really wanted the guitar and did the crime to get it. How's that? We thought of that too,
But?
The only fingerprints on the guitar case were the victims.
Only the victims, huh?
I see. So much for my theory, then.
What convinced you it had nothing to do with the case?
The guitar wasn't at the Gatewater Hotel that night. Well then, where was it? The bright red guitar was eventually found in the TV studio. The victim, Juan Corrida, had apparently only taken the case with him, sir. So you mean he forgot to put the guitar inside the case? Yes, sir. Even when he was on stage for the ceremony, he didn't have his guitar.
So that guitar case was empty, even before he got to the hotel.
Yeah, that's right. so it really had nothing to do with the case after all.
I believe that is enough. First, the victim was choked to death with his bandana. Then, after the victim was dead, the killer deliberately stabbed him with a knife. Which brings me to my next point. Why, then, did the police arrest Matt Engarde? Because there was reason enough to suspect him.
Here it comes. Looks like Edgeworth's back in full swing.
Very well, Detective Gumshoe. Please testify about this matter.
Yes, sir. Matt Engarde and Juan Corrida were huge rivals with each other. They each thought that the other guy was in his way. That's motive enough in my book. As for evidence, there's the Jammin' Ninja's button. It was ripped off of the ninja costume and was found in Mr. Engarde's Hakama pants. The defendant's fingerprints were also all over the knife. The defendant bought the knife for the crime, which makes this a premeditated murder.
So the defendant's fingerprints were found on the knife used in the stabbing.
It was sort of sticky on the handle, so the fingerprints came out pretty clearly, sir. And there's this button.
That was found in the defendant's clothes, was it? And is this button also covered in blood?
Yes, and we know that the blood on it is the victim's blood, sir.
What?
All of this points very clearly to the defendant, doesn't it?
Yes, it most certainly does, Your Honor. Ready to give in yet, Wright?
I'll find a hole in your argument somehow.
You can press as hard as you'd like. Just hurry up with your usual pointless questions.
A button covered in the victim's blood and a knife with Engarde's fingerprints.
Be grateful. If the judge were more rash, he would have already pounded his gavel in closing.
We're still in a world of trouble.
Well, before any battle, you must find your enemy's weakness. So, let's find the weakness in his testimony, no matter how small it may be. Okay, Phoenix?
Detective, you say the victim and my client were rivals. But in terms of popularity, Mr. Engarde won, did he not?
Yeah, but you know what's ironic, pal? Juan Corrida was always one step behind Mr. Engarde in everything. This year, it seemed like he'd finally caught up, ready for the big final showdown.
But Mr. Corrida lost the Grand Prix in the end.
That is too bad. He must have been pretty downhearted after losing.
So, Mr. Engarde was beating Mr. Corrida in the popularity polls.
Well, yeah, I guess, but...
Which means that in the defendant's eyes, the victim was not a rival at all. Which means he had no motive to kill at all.
Yes, I quite agree. Well, Detective?
It's not... Well, I guess if you put it that way, then yeah, the defendant would have had no motive.
Objection!
Detective, I'm beginning to see why you were fired.
No, not you too, Mr. Edgeworth, sir! That's...
I look forward to your pension negotiations.
No!
Now, Detective. Let's continue with the testimony.
No! Not my poor pension, too.
Detective, if you value your money, I suggest you proceed.
Yes, sir. We can talk about my pension later, sir.
Do you have any proof that the button belonged to the victim?
What do you mean, pal?
Let me put it this way. I'm asking you if you have any evidence to back up your claim that this button was ripped off the Jammin' Ninja's costume.
But can't you tell just by looking at it? And the victim's blood is on it.
Anyone could have smeared that blood on there afterward.
Mr. Edgeworth, help me, sir.
All right, I knew it had to be this piece of evidence. Now to reel this one in.
Thread.
Huh?
The button was attached to the costume by thread, obviously. And the thread snapped when the button was torn off. If you match up the ends of the thread on the costume with the thread on the button, it's a perfect match.
Yeah, that's it! They're a perfect match, pal!
That's Edgeworth for you. Never misses a beat.
When was this button found?
Pretty soon after the body was found, we rounded up everyone who knew Mr. Corita, and then we did a search on them all. That's when we found the button.
So it was almost immediately after the murder.
The police didn't have free time to lollygag and play tricks, unlike some people.
How were the fingerprints arranged on the knife?
Huh? What do you mean, pal?
By examining the fingerprints, you can determine how the defendant held the knife. For example, did he hold it normally or overhand?
Oh, is that what you meant? Well, we didn't actually think of that.
Oh, I can't believe the bumbling of this department.
Hopeless. Were you paying attention to the testimony, Wright? The defendant's fingerprints were all over the knife. There is no way to determine how the knife was held at the moment of the murder.
So is the defendant the owner of this knife, then?
Wait a second. The owner? That's it! Objection! Wait a second!
What?
So the basis of your argument that this was a premeditated murder is simply that my client bought a knife beforehand?
That's right, pal. The defendant...
It did not buy this knife.
Huh?
Take a good look at the handle of this knife, and you'll know what I'm talking about.
Huh?
It has a Gatewater seal set into the handle.
Gatewater? I think I've heard that name somewhere before.
That's the name of the hotel. The Gatewater Hotel.
Uh-oh.
The murder knife was actually property of the hotel, which means this murder was not premeditated.
Yes, that is very true. This is a very big... What is it, Mr. Edgeworth?
I'm sorry, but the defense is simply too careless.
What?
I think whether the crime was premeditated or not has already been determined.
How so?
I admit this knife is hotel property, but there is no one currently on the police force that is dumb enough not to realize this.
I didn't... Oh...
The question is, where did this knife come from?
Why, that's obvious. It came from the victim, Mr. Corita's room.
Sorry, Your Honor, but that is incorrect. The victim ate his last meal before he was murdered. With that being the case, I would like to draw the court's attention to what is on top of the table.
There is a knife and a fork on the table. Then, where in the world did this knife come from?
If it pleases the court, I would like for us to recall the room of the defendant, Mr. Matt Engarde, especially what was on top of his table. There is something missing. Perhaps it is a single knife. We investigated the leftover dishes for fingerprints, and while we were investigating, we came to the conclusion that Mr. Matt Engarde's knife was missing. Mr. Engarde had gone to the victim's room with the knife he had used during dinner. Why would he carry a knife on his visit? To kill, of course. And with that, I believe the prosecution has proven this was a premeditated murder.
Amazing, Mr. Edgeworth. Absolutely brilliant. A brilliantly clear deduction.
It seems like Edgeworth had this plan from the very beginning.
This must be one of those traps, and I just walked headlong into it.
A murder weapon with fingerprints and a button from the victim's costume. There is quite a sizable amount of evidence here.
I can safely say that any further deliberation is a waste of Your Honor's time. Although I wouldn't mind if the defense were to present evidence not yet shown to the court.
Evidence not yet shown?
He means evidence that the court hasn't seen yet. In other words, new evidence.
What does the defense have to say about this, Mr. Wright?
Phoenix, the judge is favoring the prosecution right now. If we answer with something wrong here...
That gavel of his will be ringing out to the sound of our defeat.
Mr. Wright, do you have something important and necessary to present to this court?
There's one. One piece of evidence that catches my attention. Something that this court has yet to see.
Mr. Wright, I will say this one more time. I do not feel this trial needs to continue at all. However, I am giving you one chance, and only one.
What the judge is saying, Wright, is don't try pulling one of your usual bluffs here.
If I mess this up, it's curtains for all of us.
You may now present one, and only one, piece of evidence. Now then, what is this important evidence that you must show to the court?
It is the defense's belief that this particular object is of significant suspicion.
This is a wine glass, is it not?
Please look at the photo of the crime scene one more time. The scene is a mess because of the victim's struggle against his assailant. The vase was broken. His makeup is all over the floor. These were all things that were at one point sitting on top of the dresser.
Yes, I see your point.
However, this glass that is sitting on top of the dresser is mysteriously untouched. The only thing that had not fallen over with everything else is this wine glass. This piece of evidence is more than strange enough to warrant further consideration. Well, what do you all have to say?
Well, yes, it is a little peculiar.
Yes, isn't it? I thought it was.
You can stop looking at me with those puppy dog eyes of yours now. Mr. Edgeworth.
What is it, Your Honor?
Your opinion.
You don't need my opinion, because there is no special meaning to that glass.
What?
It's safe to say that the glass was set there after the crime took place, by the person who discovered the body. Adrian Andrews, for example. She could have easily been so shocked that she set the glass down without thinking.
That does sound very plausible.
Could Miss Andrews really have set that glass down without thinking? The defense would like to challenge the prosecution's theory. We would like to see something that proves it was Miss Andrews who set the cup on the table.
You've turned the situation on its head yet again, as usual. Mr. Edgeworth, do you have any proof to back up your claim?
There's no way he has any. He's just bluffing.
Unlike Mr. Wright, I never say anything unless I have the evidence to support it.
What?
You're not thinking hard enough today, Wright. Did you think this wine glass escaped my notice?
Then...
Of course, it has been thoroughly inspected for fingerprints, of which there was only one set of fingerprints left on this wine glass.
Only one? Well, whose were they?
They were not the victims, nor the defendants. Rather, they were of one, Adrian Andrews.
What?
That is why I said the person who had discovered the body had left it there. Are we done here, Mr. Wright?
I can't believe I fell into another trap!
Miss Andrews was probably holding the glass when she went to see Mr. Corrida, but upon seeing his dead body, she was stunned and set the glass down on the dresser.
What you just said makes a lot of sense.
Now do you see, Wright? You can't change any part of my scenario as it explains everything all too well. I have thought long and hard this past year about what it means to be a prosecutor, and from here on out, I will show you the answer I have come to discover.
Wait a second, Mr. Edgeworth. I think the prosecution has provided enough evidence for me to enter my verdict.
Unfortunately, I cannot allow you to pass judgment yet. The prosecution has yet another witness we would like the court to hear from.
Another witness?
Yes. Bailiff, please bring in the next witness.
What in the world is Mr. Edgeworth thinking?
Now then, witness, please state your name and occupation. Witness, your name and occupation, please.
I wonder what happened to the calm composure he had earlier.
Oh, edgy boy. It's been, what, a year since we last met, hasn't it? You should be more happy to see me.
I saw the report with her testimony, but who knew under that helmet? Yet was the wicked witch of the witness stand.
I tell you, this time I know what I'm supposed to do. So today, I'm going to tell you anything and everything, even things that don't have to do with the terrible crime.
Miss Witness, that terrible crime is all this court needs to know.
Shush! I'm talking to my dear edgy wedgie right now. Don't interrupt us, Gramps!
Yes, madam.
No, please, by all means, interrupt her. Please! Anyway, witness, your testimony, please.
It's true what they say that youths are hot-headed nowadays. Not that I mind at all, edgy. Now then, what should I start with?
The witness was on security detail at the hotel on the night of the murder. Is this correct, Miss Oldbag?
It was a great job being able to see my dearie one. It was almost too much for my little heart to handle.
You mean you were a fan of the victim?
Look, everyone is crazy over that Engarde, saying he's cute in a fresh way or something, but not me. I wouldn't say anything so silly. After all, I have no interest in a little child like him. I'm only interested in a real man, Juan Corrida.
But those two were the same age.
Anyway, as I was saying, I was pacing in front of his room that night.
Very well. Please tell the court what you witnessed the night of the murder.
Leave it to me, Edgy Poo. Anyway, after the ceremony, I went to pace around in the hallway in front of his room. There was something I was interested in finding out, you know. Well, since I was on the job, I made sure to keep a good eye out the whole time. That's when someone showed up. It was a man coming out of poor Juan's room. It was Engarde, Matt Engarde. He was trying to sneak his way out of Juan's room.
So Mr. Engarde came out from the victim's room.
See, it has to be him. He's the murderer.
I see. Well, Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination.
Miss Oldbag, what was your post on that night?
The lobby. I was supposed to help set up the stage for that trifling show, but I refused to help, I'll have you know. It was for that lead-headed samurai show. I even took out a few of the nails.
Maybe it was a good thing the show didn't go on.
Besides, that manager with the glasses seemed to be working hard at it without me. So I thought I'd take a break and spread my wings a little.
And that's when you went to hang around the victim's door. What is it you wanted to find out?
It's not some little thing I can go around telling everyone, you know. It's top secret between me and Juan. And Edgy, of course.
Mr. Edgeworth, what is this thing she was interested in?
I have no idea. I despise gossip, Your Honor.
Gossip?
If this has something to do with the case, then you can append it to your testimony.
It looks like we shouldn't force it right now.
And did the witness stay in the vicinity of the victim's door the entire time? Could you tell us the number of people who went in and out of Mr. Corrida's room?
I have no idea. I wasn't born so I could count things for those who didn't pay attention in class. That's why, ever since I turned 20, I quit keeping track of how old I really am.
Yes, well, that would explain why your age was not recorded in the report.
In any case, the witness then saw someone, correct?
You say you saw my client. Are you sure about that?
Yes-y.
Really?
Annoying brat! When I say I saw someone, I saw that person!
Why do I get the sense of deja vu? Maybe to avoid a mess like last year, I should delve into this a bit further. could you please tell the court, in more detail, about this person you saw? Maybe something like, what were they wearing?
What a troublesome young man you are! Really, as if something like that matters!
But it does.
Now, what was it? Oh, yes, it was that thing.
What thing?
That gaudy thing he's always wearing, that racing jacket.
Ah, he was wearing that at the detention center on the night of his arrest. But that means...
That's meant for nothing but seducing women out of their pantaloons! Men!
Right.
So, Mr. Wright, was this testimony just now important or relevant in any way?
Of course it's important, Your Honor.
Objection! Then perhaps you would like to point out what part of that testimony was important.
Don't you see it, Edgeworth? Miss Oldbag!
What? Don't say my name for no reason!
Do you know what this is?
Oh, it's button number 2 on the Gem and Ninja's costume!
Now I know she was an obsessed fan. She identified it in a single glance.
Give it here! Give it here! If you don't give it to me, I'll punish you with this!
Wow. She really is a die-hard fan to want a button covered in blood. This button was discovered on Mr. Engarde's body during a full body search.
See? This button proves beyond a shadow of a doubt it was that rascal Engarde!
It was caught up in the pleats of his nickel samurai hakama pants.
See? And Engarde is the nickel samurai!
Witness! Now it may just be me, and I do have an active imagination, but just now, didn't you say that the defendant Matt Engarde was wearing his usual racing jacket?
I'm so sorry. Sorry that you judge people based on what they wear. If I wore the trendiest dress, then maybe you think I was the most gorgeous woman ever. But instead, I have to put up with wearing this ridiculous-looking outfit. You agree this outfit is hideous, right?
Now hold your tongue still there for 1 second. So what you saw in actuality was not Mr. Engarde, the man, but Mr. Engarde, the nickel samurai?
But when you think about it, they're really one and the same anyway.
Miss Oldbag! This is a very important point we're talking about.
Etchy Poo, do you think so too?
Well, it might be something worth thinking about.
Just say it's important and agree with me for a change.
Witness, think carefully and try to remember as much as you can before you testify.
All right, if you insist.
I should be the one sighing, not you.
On guard.
Would you please get on with your testimony?
Watch your language, young man! What sort of tone is that to take with an elder? My youthfulness isn't what it used to be, so you should forgive me for everything! If you keep barking at me like that, I'll start singing at the top of my lungs!
What?
A striking figure by the sea, standing on...
She's actually singing. Oh, someone help my poor ears.
Mr. Edgeworth, can you please do something about this racket?
Witness, I'll give you a piece of gum later if you'll be good and just stick to the facts.
Okay! You promise, right?
Right, I'll be sending a bill for the chewing gum to your office at a later date.
Remind me to send you a thank you note later too, Edgeworth. Old chum.
Yes, now I remember. The Nickel Samurai, that's right. It was the Nickel Samurai that I saw. Yes, it would have been convenient for him to wear his costume during the murder. He had to go to that post-ceremony stage show right after the crime, you know. So he must have worn the Nickel Samurai costume when he was stabbing poor Juan.
I knew it! I knew you'd say he was inside that costume.
What? Did you think it could have been someone else inside that costume? Oh, don't be a bad little boy thinking such rude things.
But the possibility does exist.
Ah, youngins today. I told you there was no way it was anyone else.
How do you know that?
Because I said so, and what I say is the truth.
At least she's just as delightful a witness as she was a year ago.
You don't need to think too hard on this one. There's a contradiction in her testimony, and it's sitting in plain sight. The question is what that contradiction means for us.
So let me ask you one last time. The person you saw, it was someone in the nickel samurai costume.
As showy as ever. Haven't I been saying that from the very beginning?
Objection! Please take a look at this.
Yeah, so it's a knife. Big deal. If you're trying to scare me with that, I'll have you know it won't work.
No, that's not my intention at all.
That's the knife that was used in the murder, correct?
Your Honor, do you know why this piece of evidence is important to this case?
You don't even have to ask. It's because the defendant's fingerprints are on it.
Is that what you're driving at?
That is exactly what I'm driving at.
What are we driving at? And whose car are we driving?
If Mr. Engarde was really in the nickel samurai costume at the time of the murder, then it's impossible for his fingerprints to be left on this knife. Actually, he would have wiped all the previous fingerprints on this knife right off.
Oh, that's right. The nickel samurai wears gloves, doesn't he?
Objection! He probably took his gloves off before he began the stabbing.
Objection! And why would he do something like that? To leave his fingerprints on the murder weapon? There is no way he would do something like that!
However, there is one possibility.
Then let's hear your possibility.
It's very simple. The defendant went to the victim's room while in costume as the nickel samurai. At the time, the defendant held no intent to murder. He was probably just going to relax and talk to the victim about the stage show. Which is why he took the gloves off.
But the murder still did take place.
It's well known that the defendant and the victim had bad blood between them.
Yes, I have heard of that. Well, Mr. Wright, what do you have to say about Mr. Edgeworth's theory?
So, let me get this straight. Edgeworth's theory goes like this. When the defendant went to the victim's room, he had no intention of killing him. This theory contradicts something in an earlier testimony.
What are you babbling about?
Now, for argument's sake, let's suppose Mr. Engarde was the killer. If that's the case, I think it's impossible for the killer to have gone to the victim's room without intent. This knife. This was used by Mr. Engarde at dinner.
Yes, we did establish that.
Which means that if my client was, in fact, the killer, then he brought this knife with him when he went to visit Mr. Kurita.
I suppose.
However, you just said it yourself. At that time, the defendant held no intention to murder. If that were true, then why would he bring a knife? He wouldn't, would he? Which means, Mr. Edgeworth, your theory was flawed from supposition 1. And one more thing. If the murderer was wearing the costume at the time of the murder, then there should be glove marks left on the knife. Which means the defendant's fingerprints shouldn't be all over it like bees on a hive. And that brings me to my final point. This knife was planted by the real killer to hide their identity and mislead us!
Order! Order, I say! Order in this court! Was this knife really planted by the killer? Why would the murderer do such a thing?
It's to frame my client, Mr. Engarde, of course.
To frame?
Objection! Aren't you forcing the interpretation just a little too hard on this one?
Objection! But we just established that the witness saw the Nickel Samurai in costume. And if that were true, then there shouldn't be a single fingerprint on this knife!
Witness!
Looks like I've made your life a teeny bit more difficult, huh, Edgy?
Witness, did you or did you not really see the Nickel Samurai?
Well, I guess at first I might have forgotten, but...
Are you saying you mixed up Mr. Engarde with the Nickel Samurai, his character on TV?
But, I mean, I can't really do anything about that. Look, I was waiting around the front of their doors because, well, I wasn't waiting around for the Nickel Samurai, that's for sure.
She wasn't waiting for the Nickel Samurai? All right, then. Who were you waiting around for then?
That's top secret to anyone outside of security.
I have a feeling that you were waiting for Mr. Juan Carrera. Am I correct, witness?
The way you think. You are a sad amateur with a terrible case of nearsightedness.
Amateur? Me? What am I an amateur of?
So Oldbag was waiting around in front of the victim's room. But it doesn't sound like she was waiting to catch a glimpse of Mr. Carrera.
Maybe. Phoenix, maybe the old bag was waiting around for you-know-who.
If it's who I think me is hinting at, it's certainly possible. Miss Oldbag, you were waiting for this woman to come out of the victim's room, weren't you?
Who is this person?
This is Adrian Andrews, Mr. Engarde's manager.
But why would the defendant's manager be in the victim's room?
It seems that this is the latest rumor in circulation, Your Honor.
This is... Well, this is... I see.
The judge seems to be really into the article, if it can be called such a thing.
Then this manager with the initials AA, are you saying it's...
Adrian Andrews. Without a doubt, the witness thought so as well.
Looks like you found me out. Well, that's fine. I can throw away this whole sworn to confidentiality stuff.
Witness, what in the world are you...
Watch out, Phoenix. I've got a bad feeling about this. A very bad feeling.
I got some information. Some very secret information from a certain source. So that's why I was doing my own little investigation. In secret, of course.
But what for?
Oh, just for myself. Personal reasons and all that.
Well, Mr. Edgeworth, how will you proceed from here?
I really don't want to do this. However, I cannot simply let this point slide.
I see. Very well then, witness. Please testify about this secret information.
Get ready! This is going to take the wind out of you youngins!
I'm sure we're all capable of handling this. Really. It's not like we're 10 years old.
Engarde is one evil, evil man. He thought he could ruin poor Juan by causing a huge scandal. So to do that, he sent his own manager to get in close with Juan. I cannot condone such dirty tricks, so I took action. Oh, and this is top secret. You got that? Nobody else but you and me know yet, okay?
The defendant sent his manager? What a distasteful topic for this court.
What? Nobody's about gossip! And isn't there a saying, the truth is never pleasant?
Never heard that one before.
Be careful. The old bag seems rather excited right now.
That's right! Engarde is nothing but your average foul-blooded youth.
Well, as the old saying goes, you've got to burn old bags with fire. Time to fire up the afterburners and hit the highway to the danger zone.
Sounds like just another tidbit of gossip, doesn't it? But you can't just ignore it either. It makes your client look bad either way.
Well, I don't think I heard anything really out of the ordinary just now.
There has to be something we can catch her on.
Yeah, and when I find it, I'm gonna press the heck out of it.
Mr. Edgeworth, what about this Adrian Andrews person?
We have looked into this matter and found that the truth the article proposes is in fact baseless gossip.
But should this be true, then this proves that the defendant did bear ill will towards the victim.
So this means I have to smash this rumor once and for all.
Now then, Mr. Wright, you may cross-examine the witness.
You can't just say something like my client is evil without proof. That's just slander.
But it's true! That woman was getting intimate with poor Juan. Look, it says so right here, doesn't it? Manager to the stars, Miss A.A.
But the name of the magazine this came from is Gossip Land.
What? Are you saying that gossip is all just a pack of lies? What do you know? I suppose next you'll swear to me that the news is 100% true. Honestly, Sonny, you can't discriminate between the news and gossip.
Yes, discrimination is bad, Mr. Wright.
Discriminate? When did I do anything like that?
Anyway, Engarde will never get me to say touche.
So what do you mean by I took action?
Like I already told you, I was lying in wait close to the crime scene. Once that slimy woman came out of Juan's room, I was going to capture her and teach her a good lesson. Something you youngins need.
You were going to teach her a good lesson?
I was going to make her eat the damaging beams of my ray gun, like this.
No! Stop!
Well, it was too bad that woman didn't come through the door that night.
Hold it! Wait!
What? I'm a busy woman! Tea time with the kids is over.
You said this is secret information that no one else knows yet. If that's true, then how do you know this secret information?
Oh, well, that's because I'm a pro. Yes, that's it. It's a secret. Even if you drill a hole into my brain, you'll never find out.
How in the world did that old bat get such a secret piece of information? So no one else is supposed to know this secret information, correct? If that's true, then why do you know it, Miss Oldbag?
Why are you looking at me like that? Stop it!
Witness! I'm sad to say it, but you found out from the investigative photographer, Lotta Hart, didn't you?
Oh, yes. I remember that mischievous girl.
She reported that she lost a certain note she had written to herself.
She reported such a thing?
On that piece of paper, she had written down some of her outrageous, impressions about the relationship between the victim and Miss Andrews.
What? Outrageous ideas, you say?
No, I said impressions.
Then everything written on this piece of paper is completely meaningless.
That's it! That's the note!
No! You see, this is something completely different! This is my top secret list of groceries to buy!
Then you are the one who took Miss Hart's note.
I'm a huge fan of Juan's, that's why. That infamous puppy-haired whippersnapper. She's working with that evil Engarde. She said so herself. Engarde, I'm his sidekick. She was so happy, smiling like a silly duck. I was only checking what she had written. Edgy Poo, you believe me, don't you? I was only trying to help out like the angel I am. It's only one little piece of paper. I've never taken anything else before.
You really should come with a supply of cheese to match your vintage wine.
Well, it was only a piece of paper. I suppose we can overlook this just this once.
If I let up on her now, she'll get away. I have to find some way to inflict a deafening blow to the prosecution. Witness! You said that the only thing you stole was that note. Is this correct?
Stole? Why don't you listen more carefully, you annoying brat? I saved this piece of paper from the terrible, lonely trash can. That's all.
You're lying, damn it! And I can prove it!
Are you putting my credibility under scrutiny again?
Miss Oldbag, I don't believe that the note is the only thing that you stole that night. That note was with a camera. Inside its case, wasn't it?
A camera?
Yesterday, Lotta Hart was raising a huge stink over her camera. She kept saying something like, "My sweet $1,600 camera disappeared on me."
Why, witness?
What is it, Gramps?
If you have the note, then it is only logical that you have the camera, too.
Ugh, looks like you found me out again. Is this the camera you're looking for?
Ah! That's...
What? Even though I look like this, I'm still a person, you know. I still eat meals like you. I fall in love and borrow things from people.
I think your definition of borrow is a little off.
I saw that woman's business card, and that's what I noticed it said. Slime bag celebrity photographer extraordinaire. Well, when I saw that, I had to know what sort of pictures she had taken. I'm a professional security guard. It's my business to know these things.
Bailiff, check this camera's photos. Hurry! We must examine them at once. Well, Mr. Edgeworth, what do we have?
There is only one photo that seems to be relevant to this case.
Please present it to the court. This is the Nickel Samurai.
See, I told you. That's the guy I saw.
This proves that the witness was not lying earlier about this matter. What does this all mean, Mr. Edgeworth?
The photo by itself does not prove that the person in it is the defendant. However, in his own confession, Mr. Engarde clearly stated that at the time of the murder, he was still in his Nickel Samurai costume.
If that is the case, then this Nickel Samurai is...
the defendant.
How did it come to this? I think this brings us to an end. We have examined every piece of evidence thoroughly. Final comments, Mr. Wright? The court will consider them before we close. Do you agree that this photo is decisive evidence against your client?
If this photo really is decisive, then we're done for. But if I raise an objection here and blow it, then I would put Maya's life in jeopardy. I can't make a mistake here. There's only one road out of this mess. This photo that Lotta took, there's something strange with this photo.
I knew this was coming, right?
Your thoughts, Mr. Edgeworth?
I think we can all agree that there is nothing strange with this photo. There is no way for the defense to debunk this photo, even with a bunker buster.
Debunk with a bunker buster? Is that what you're planning to do, Mr. Wright?
Anyway, please look at the photo one more time. I have to find something wrong with this photo. I can't let this chance go by. Where the heck did she take this picture anyway? It's all out of focus. Why can't you take a good shot? Especially when it counts. Wait a minute. Isn't this person... That's it!
Now then, let's hear your objection. What about this photo is strange?
I would like to direct the court's attention to this one area right here.
What are you pointing to? His ankles?
If you could see this person's ankle, that would be one thing. However, you can't.
And? What does that mean?
The nickel samurai in this photo could not have been Mr. Engarde.
What is the meaning of this?
Objection! I wonder if you would care to elaborate, with actual facts, that is.
Let's take a look at the Nickel Samurai's poster, and please pay particular attention to the area around the bottom of the hakama.
His socks? You can see his socks?
Exactly! However, in this photo, the Nickel Samurai is clearly holding his hakama up just to walk. There is only one explanation for this. The person inside this costume is clearly much shorter than the defendant. All right, I think I've turned things around for myself this time.
That's curious.
Huh? What is?
Edgeworth is unusually calm today.
That's true.
He's just letting the trial run itself, as if he's only along for the ride.
Along for the ride? What do you mean by that?
I can only think that perhaps he doesn't feel under attack at all.
Doesn't feel under attack? Then he's not taking any damage?
Mr. Edgeworth, where does this leave us? If the person in this photo is not Matt Engarde, then everything the prosecution has tried to prove has become meaningless.
I thought it would come to this.
What?
Right. I have something I want to ask you. I think you have proven that the person inside this costume is not Matt Engarde. In that case, who is this a photo of?
Who is the person wearing the Nickel Samurai costume?
Don't stress out over this, Phoenix. It's very simple. What you should be focused on is Edgeworth's attitude, don't you think?
Yeah, why is he so calm?
Mr. Wright, let's hear your thoughts. Who is the person in this photograph?
I have reason to believe that it may be Adrian Andrews.
Adrian Andrews?
If you want to know who the Nickel Samurai is, it is none other than this woman.
And why would you say it would be Miss Andrews? What in the world points you to her?
For starters, she's short. And she can freely move in and out of Mr. Engarde's room. Finally, she had dinner with Mr. Engarde that night.
And how does that all add up?
It means that it makes it very easy for her to get a certain item. A certain knife with Mr. Engarde's fingerprints all over it.
The knife that was used as a murder weapon.
Why don't you just say what it is you want, Wright?
I have to do this now. This is my last chance to turn things around. The defense motions to indict Miss Adrian Andrews in the murder of Juan Corrida. It was Miss Andrews who tried to frame the defendant for the crime.
Order! It looks like this trial has hit a most unexpected development. Mr. Edgeworth?
Yes, Your Honor.
This court is issuing a subpoena for Miss Adrian Andrews. A verdict cannot be passed without first hearing her testimony.
All right, this is it.
This is kinda bad for us.
Huh? What do you mean?
If Adrian Andrews is summoned to court as a witness, it means that the trial will go on for another day.
One more day? If I don't get a verdict today, then Maya...
Now then, we shall set Miss Andrews' testimony for tomorrow.
What am I supposed to do? The judge is about to adjourn the court.
Now then, let's suspend today's...
Objection! Please, Your Honor, continue the trial. You must pass a verdict today.
I can't do that. We cannot hear Miss Andrews' testimony if she is...
Hold it! I abhor wasting such valuable time.
Edgeworth?
Your Honor, I request that you please continue with today's trial.
But we cannot continue due to this unexpected development.
unexpected development? I think you underestimate me, Your Honor.
And what do you mean by that?
That Mr. Phoenix Wright would slave his way to subpoenaing Miss Adrian Andrews is all happening according to plan. Even if Wright was a bit slow to catch on.
What is the meaning of your statement, Mr. Edgeworth?
Miss Adrian Andrews is currently waiting in the prosecution lobby. She is the next witness.
Everything? You planned everything out in advance?
Somehow I knew there was no way Edgeworth would overlook Miss Andrews. Looks like this battle is far from over.
Exactly.
Very well. We will call the next witness. However, before we proceed, we shall take a 10-minute recess. Please, prepare your witness in that time, Mr. Edgeworth. The court will now take a 10-minute recess.